Let's have a look at some trickier aspects of wallpapering along with some design elements. Firstly, pattern repeats. If your paper has a recurring pattern repeat, you'll need to measure it more carefully than plainer styles. The packaging will tell you what the pattern repeat is. Add this to every length you measure on the wall, plus waste allowance of 20 centimetres, to ensure you have sufficient paper when matching piece to piece. In this instance, where we have a half drop pattern repeat, we need to add at least half the repeat of 64 centimetres onto the second and subsequent lengths. That's 32 centimetres plus a waste allowance. Light switches and plug sockets can also be a bit tricky. The best way to deal with them is partial removal, where you unscrew them just enough to get the paper behind. For safety, it's best to switch off the electricity supply before you attempt this procedure. Hang the paper as normal, but leave it to cover the switch or socket. Make a small hole in the middle where the plate is and cut to the 4 diagonal corners past the plate by about 1 centimetre to allow the plate to be pulled through the hole, trying not to tear the paper. Once through, trim the flaps, allowing about 5mm to sit behind the plate. Smooth out the air bubbles and finish as before. Tighten the screws and switch the electricity back on. Here are some design tips with wallpaper. Avoid metallic papers if your walls are very uneven, as they'll accentuate any lumps and bumps. Matte textured papers on very uneven walls can hide a multitude of defects. If you're lucky enough to have very even walls, use a metallic paper in a north-facing room to help bounce light around. There's no need to assume you must use a small pattern in a small room. They can have the opposite effect and make it look very fussy. Try a medium to large pattern instead, especially if you're doing a feature wall. Striped papers look fantastic if used horizontally. They're a bit more challenging to hang, but more than worth the effort, as they really give interiors a dynamic impact. To do this, measure from the top of the door or around about 1/4 of the way down the wall and draw an intersecting straight line across the entire width of the wall. Measure and cut your first section of paper with an allowance of about 20 centimetres. Paste the paper and then hang it on the wall to align with your pencil line. You may need another pair of hands. Smooth, brush and trim your paper down as usual. Repeat the process just as though you are hanging and butting up the paper vertically. The difference being that you're trimming off the excess at the sides rather than top and bottom. If you like to make do and mend, don't just stick to papering walls. Try it on furniture too. Look out for a junk shop bargain and wallpaper it, as I've done with these lamp tables. Just finish off with a couple of coats of clear varnish.